that you can earn more money. Like, how is it possible that somebody can earn more money than you, but pay less taxes than you? Ain't that crazy? Like, how is that fair? How is that possible? Right? And it's because when you learn the rules of the game, you can start winning the game. Okay? When you learn the rules of the game, you can start winning the game. So, let's get into the rules. And here's the thing, I'm gonna make this real easy and simple for y'all, okay? I'm gonna teach you the rules of the. I'm gonna teach you the only two rules you need to learn if you want to start winning the game of taxes. Okay? So, rule number one: the tax code was made to benefit entrepreneurs and investors, not employees.
I believe it.
Okay, that's rule number one. Rule number one: the tax code was not created to benefit employees. It was created to benefit entrepreneurs and investors. Would you like me to show you why?
Yes.
I'm gonna show you anyway. But would you like me to show you why? Okay, cool. So look. So if y'all look on the right, it's real simple. We have employees on the left and business owners on the right. As an employee, this is how taxes work for you. You make money first, and then before you get your paycheck, what happens? Does anybody know? Before you get your paycheck, what happens?
You get taxed.
You got to pay federal taxes.
Yep.
You got to pay state taxes, and you got to pay FICA taxes. You get taxed 3 times on the same dollar before you receive it.
Yeah.
And then after the IRS takes their money, you get to keep what's left.
Yeah.
And then you have to spend what's left on rent, car payments, groceries, whatever. And you wonder why it ain't
It's
that
the
much left.
rat race.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, where my business owners at? Just drop biz in the chat. Drop biz. On my business owners, 1099 contractors.
Pretty soon.
Wherever y'all at. Let me show you how taxes work for us. We make money first, and then we spend our money on tax deductible items like our rent, like our cars, like our utilities. Okay? So we earn money first, we spend money on tax deductible items second, and then guess what? And then we pay the IRS last. And not only do we pay the IRS last, we gonna make sure ain't no money left to pay them when it's time to pay them.
Straight up.
Like, did this make sense to everybody?
Hell yeah.
Y'all see the problem? Some of y'all are too busy paying the IRS first when you should be paying yourself first and paying the IRS last.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So that's rule number one. Rule number two is you have to understand the rules of write-offs. We have to understand how write-offs work. Okay?
Most
So,
definitely.
here's how write-offs work, real simple. I'm going to tell you how write-offs work, and I'm going to tell you what write-offs are.
Okay.
If you make $100,000 of income,
Yeah.
you have to pay taxes on all $100,000 income. Duh. But if you make $100,000 of income, but you have $30,000 of write-offs, guess what?
70,000.
You only have to pay taxes on the 70,000 that's left.
Yeah.
So the more write-offs you can get, the less taxes you'll pay.
Yeah.
So now that we know how write-offs work, let's talk about what write-offs are. Now, this is a screenshot from the IRS tax code. This is not what Carter says. This is what the IRS says.
Okay.
And I encourage every one of you all to memorize IRS code section 162A. And it states, allows a deduction for all ordinary and necessary expenses incurred during the taxable year by a trade or business. Let me break this down in English.
Yeah, please.
If you have a business, or if you have a side business,
Okay.
any expense that is both ordinary and necessary to operate that business is tax deductible to you. Okay?
Okay.
So let me ask y'all a question. Let's play a little game. Let's make sure y'all get this, okay?
Yeah, please.
If I'm using my cell phone
For my business,
to operate my business, if I'm using my cell
that
phone
mean
to
I
call my
can have
customers, to
them
call my
pay for it,
clients,
basically.
to run my social media, would my cell phone qualify as both ordinary and necessary to operate my business?
Yes, it will.
Really? So that means that now I can write off a portion of my cell phone and my cell phone bill every single month?
Yep. Every month.
Wow, okay. What about my computer? this $2,000 MacBook qualify as ordinary and necessary to operate my business?
Yes, it will.
So you mean I can write off a portion of my computer and my internet?
Yep. Cause you need internet too.
Wow.
Yep.
So some of y'all are having the same epiphany that I had 12 years ago. And here's the epiphany. I said, so you mean to tell me that most of my personal expenses immediately become tax deductible business expenses once I start the business?
Yeah.
So you mean to tell me that most of my personal expenses, my phone, my internet, my meals, my travel, my all those, once I start the business, those personal expenses become business expenses, and I can write them off in my business? Wow. So when I found this out, y'all, what do y'all think I did? Right? When I found this rule out, what do y'all think I did? Y'all think I just sat on this information? There you go, David. I decided that I'm going to start me a business, right? Because I want to write off these expenses. So would it be helpful if I showed you all, like on a whiteboard, how to eliminate $100,000 in income from the IRS?
Like he was saying, like you get write-offs in tax.
Would that be helpful? Like, what my visual learners at?
Like,
Would that be helpful?
like he said, so a write-off is anything
Okay,
you use for
let's
your
get
business,
it.
right?
Let's get it.
So if you use your
Share my
phone, your
screen.
laptop,
Boom.
your
Boom.
Wi-Fi, all this can be
iPad.
paid off a write-off
All right, cool.
from your business if you own a business.
All right,
If you
so
want more write-offs, the most write-offs you got, the less you got to pay on IRS.
when I started my business, my second year in business, right? My second year in business.
You know, own business,
That is
I'm taking this
that
stuff
is
by myself.
disrespectful. Let me try that
There's
again.
nothing to do
There
with
we
the
go.
program. I'm just learning how to
My second
deal
year
with
in
taxes
business,
by
I
myself.
had a good year.
Right now it's
We
recorded.
made $100,000 of net income in my business. Okay. Now, what I didn't know was that if you make $100,000 living in Illinois, being single, you're going to be in the 30% tax bracket, federal, state, and federal taxes, state taxes, self-employment taxes. You're going to be in a 30% tax bracket. That means that I had a $30,000
I'm gonna use this
tax
later
bill.
on, mama, because that shit got hella cat hair.
Somebody dropped that's too much in the chat. That's too much. That's a lot of money, right? So I said, how can I leverage write-offs? What write-offs can I leverage to lower my income? Okay? So the first thing I was able to do, I said, well, I can turn a lot of my personal expenses into business expenses. So I was able to write off my cell phone. I was able to write off my computer, my internet, my meals. Anytime you go out to dinner with somebody and bring up business at the dinner table, that meal is 50% deductible. So now I'm able to write off my travel, my meals. So I was able to get $10,000 in tax deductions by turning my personal expenses into business expenses.
Most definitely.
Okay? I was able to get $10,000 in write-off by turning my personal expenses into business expenses. Okay? That's not a bad start.
Not at
All
all.
right?
Shit.
Now, the second thing is something called the QBI deduction, right? Let me know in the chat if any of y'all have ever heard of the QBI deduction.
Never heard of it.
Okay, so the QBI deduction is a tax
QBI.
deduction the IRS came out with back in 2018 that they said, we want to encourage people to start more businesses.
Yeah.
How can we do so? We're going to come up with something called the QBI deduction that's going to give every business owner a 20% tax deduction on their income just for being a business owner. So what does that mean? That means you get to take whatever your income is in your business, multiply it by 20%, and that's the tax deduction that you get for doing nothing but operating your business.
Oh shit.
So that means at $100,000, I got a $20,000 tax deduction just
On
for
top
being a
of that.
business owner.
Yeah.
And you know what's wild about this?
What?
Employees didn't get it.
No.
So if you were an employee making $100,000, I was a business owner making $100,000, I got a $20,000 tax deduction and you didn't.
That's fucked up.
It's not about, like, if you want to win the game, you got to know the rules, but guess what you also got to do? customer service. I didn't know how to do any of that. So I had to spend a lot of money going to conferences. I had to spend a lot of money on ebooks, on courses, on digital education, because I had to figure out how to become a better business owner to figure out how I can make some more money.
Me too.
Now, with that being said, I spent about $10,000 on education and conferences.
Oh,
Okay?
that's smart.
Now, is education tax deductible?
Definitely, because you're using it to go towards your business.
Let me know in the chat. Is education tax deductible?
Yeah,
Yes, no, maybe so.
yeah, I believe so.
But this is actually a trick question,
Okay.
because all education is not tax deductible.
It has to go towards your business.
The right type of education is. So
Yeah.
we've been. Here's the thing, y'all. Before I say this, let me preface by saying this. I have an undergraduate degree and a master's degree. I have more degrees than a thermometer when it comes to education. Right?
Stupid ass.
But we've been convinced by society that it is mandatory to go to college and spend $100,000 a year to learn from somebody, get this, who is not even doing the thing that we want to do. We have business professors who never started a business,
Yeah.
and who damn sure ain't making the money that we trying to make. We talk to spend $100,000 to learn from those people, and guess what? College tuition is not tax deductible. Ain't that crazy? So that $100,000 you paid in college tuition is not tax deductible. Now, you might get a small deduction for your tuition, but after you make over $60,000, you phase out, so you can't write it off anyway.
Thank you.
And you can't write off the interest on your student loans. Over $1,500 a year.
That part.
So we taught to do that, and we can't write it off. But you mean to tell me I can go pay a billionaire like Tony Robbins to learn about business development? I can go pay a multi-millionaire like Alex Hormozy to learn about marketing? I can go pay these people who are doing the thing I want to do, who are making the
And
money
learn
I
from
want to
them.
make, and guess what? Every dollar that I spend on my online education is 100% tax deductible to me.
It's free.
So the right type of education is tax deductible. The question is, are you getting the right type of education? And that's a conversation for another day. Okay, so that was a long-winded way of saying the right type of education is tax deductible. All right, so now, what if I told you guys there was a way that you can write off your rent or your mortgage?
If you say that's your location of business,
If
yes.
there's ways you can write off your rent or mortgage or your taxes?
Yes.
Okay, I don't have time to go into it today, but I'll go high level. You can write off your rent and or your mortgage via something called the home office deduction. The IRS says if you have a business and you have a dedicated place in your home where you work, a spare bedroom,
Exactly.
a basement, a den, if you have
If it's an
a
office,
business and a
yes.
home office, you can take advantage of the home office
I
deduction.
can see that.
Okay?
Mhm.
And your deduction is the percentage of your deduction is going to be based on the space that you use for business. So here's a hack. If you have a 2-bedroom house, a 2-bedroom apartment, why don't you do this? Why don't you make the master bedroom your office and make the secondary bedroom your bedroom? Because the master bedroom represents a bigger percentage of your home. So if the master bedroom represents 20% of your home, guess what? You now can write off 20% of your rent, 20% of your utilities, 20% of your property taxes,
Okay.
20% of the interest on your mortgage. Now you're
That's
able to
good
write off
game
a
right
big
here.
chunk of your rent or mortgage
That's some good
every
game.
single month.
Yeah. I hear
Archie
you.
said that's genius. Hey,
Yeah.
I didn't say it, Archie said it, right?
Yeah.
So I was able to write off $12,000 of my rent expense
Wait, that's
for
good
the
shit
year.
right there.
Expense I'm already having to pay for, guys. Are y'all picking up what I'm putting
Yeah,
down?
definitely.
You're
You know what?
already paying for it. Why not let the IRS come help you? Anyway, I gotta move on.
Yeah, please do.
So,
Because I get
the
it.
next thing, guys, is let's talk about vehicles, right? Let's talk about vehicles. The IRS says if you use your vehicle 50% or more in your business, you are able to write off that percentage of your vehicle on your taxes. So you're able to write off all expenses related to your vehicle up to that percentage.
Or
car
100%.
insurance, 50% of gas, 50% electricity
80, at
if you
least
have an
80.
electric car, 50% parking, oil changes, car washes, car
Yeah.
details, all of these things. What the IRS also says is they say that because your car is a depreciating asset, we're also going to let you write off the depreciation that you're going to incur in the future.
Nigga.
Say what? The IRS says we're going to give you a tax deduction
Half of the
today
motherfucking
for your car losing value in the
Damn.
future.
It's a good
Well, my
game right
question
here.
is, how much we talking?
Oh man,
In the first year you place your vehicle into service in your business, the IRS will give you a depreciation deduction of, drum roll please, $20,200 depreciation deduction the first year on top of interest on your car note, parking, gas, repairs, maintenance, oil changes, tires, all those things. So my first year putting my vehicle into service, I got to write off $25,000
22 plus
worth
the
of
okay.
expenses for a car I was paying for anyway. Okay? Like, somebody let me know in the chat, is this good or is it good? Somebody help me out. Alright, so the last thing. This is the last thing, y'all. This is the last thing. Alright, so one of my favorite quotes is, the more you invest, the less you pay the IRS.
The more you invest, the less you pay the IRS.
The more you invest, the less you pay the IRS.
Definitely.
All right, so as a business owner, did you all know that you have the ability to set up your own retirement account?
How is that?
Did y'all know that?
No.
Like, most people stay at jobs that they hate because they're worried about setting up their own retirement account. They're worried about retirement. As a business owner, did you know you can set up your own retirement plan?
No, I didn't know that.
On top of that, what if I told you that setting up your own retirement plan is 100% free?
Because they're going to pay for it.
Okay? So, my favorite retirement plan is called a solo 401k.
Solo
Okay?
401k.
It's called a solo 401k. And with the solo 401k, guys, guess what? You can invest up to $23,000 into this account per year. You can invest up to $23,000 in this retirement account per year. But guess what? It gets better. Not only can you invest $23,000 into this retirement account, what if I also told you that the IRS will give you a $23,000 tax deduction in the process?
So that's what, 40,000 something?
So wait, Cardi, you mean to tell me that I can invest $23,000 in my financial future and the IRS will simultaneously give me a $20,000 tax deduction, a $23,000 tax deduction for doing so? That's exactly what I'm telling you. So now we get a $23,000 write-off for investing in our financial future. So let's review this. Let's review this together for a second.
Yes,
so we got $10,000 worth of tax deductions for turning our personal expenses into business expenses. We got a $20,000 tax deduction for using the QBI deduction. We got a $10,000 tax deduction for education. We got a $12,000 tax deduction for writing off our rent and mortgage. We got a $25,000 tax deduction for writing off our car, and we got a $23,000 tax deduction for investing money in our solo 401k, bringing us to a grand total of $100,000 in tax deduction. Now here's the thing. Wait a second. Let's look at the full picture. So we got $100,000 tax deduction, but wait. That means that if we had $100,000 of income in our business, but we also had $100,000 worth of write-offs, what does that mean?
It's free. You don't pay nothing.
That means that our taxable income
Would be $0.
is now zero.
Oh, I'm good.
So now we went from
learner.
having a $30,000 tax bill to a $0 tax bill by understanding the rules of the game,
taxes,
so we can start winning the game.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay? Now I'm gonna tell y'all something that y'all might not like, but y'all my family, so I'm gonna say it anyway.
We family.
The most expensive tax that most of y'all are paying is not federal tax, it's not state tax, it's not property
That's facts.
the tax or
Of
not
not
knowing
knowing. Yep.
how to
Yep.
legally avoid
That's ignorance.
paying taxes.
Yep. That's facts.
So my question to you is, how long are you going to pay the ignorance tax instead of learning the rules of the game so that you can start winning the game?
Mm.
And that's my time.
Thank you.
Okay, that's how we coming.
Yeah.
That's how we coming, bro.
Man,
I know we said it was Wealth Wednesday.
It's
what?
Wealth Wednesday.
Wealth Wednesday.
Jeez.
I like it.
Hey, y'all drop tax free in the chat. If Carter just bless y'all with some
Oh,
game,
man,
drop
let me-
tax free in the chat.
Let me.
If Carter just bless y'all, because I'm
He
curious.
blessed the shit out of
like,
me.
Listen, I was over here. I done heard some of this before, but it sounded a little different. It sounded like he put a little extra sauce in it.
Yeah, no, he
I don't know what
definitely
he got
did.
going on. Okay.
He
And look,
showed out.
and the best part about it, y'all, here's the best part. We only halfway done with class. That's the crazy part. We only halfway done.
Yeah, halftime.
Halftime, baby.
Take a
Yeah,
breath.
halftime. We about to get this. We got to keep this show on the road, man. So here's the thing, right? A lot of times when it comes to taxes, people just think that like this is what it is. I gotta pay it. There's no way around it, and y'all just unlearned that today.
Tax free.
Y'all just unlearned the reality that when you understand the tax code, you have the ability to get money
Terry
back
Lane.
that you were already planning to pay Uncle Sam, and now guess what you can do with it?
Terry Lane.
Guess what you can do with it?
Oh, tell me.
Now you can use that money to work for you. You can
Okay.
use that money to reinvest. That's correct, right?
Okay.
So y'all drop invest in the chat if y'all ready to learn how to make your money work for you 3 times faster than traditional financial advice.
Invest.
Okay, y'all seem like y'all ready.
Man,
As a
what?
quick friendly reminder, we are giving away
I see that.
$500 today.
Yeah, I'm ready.
$250 to 2 lucky winners. Y'all done a lot of the heavy lifting. Continue to stay engaged in the chat. Stay to the end, and you'll be eligible to win. Now,
Okay.
all of y'all are already winners by simply being here. I
Yeah,
know
definitely,
the
man,
game
what?
y'all just got
Man,
from
what?
Carter, already know.
Man, what?
There's no way y'all can say y'all didn't walk away from this
Man,
class as a winner. But can I add a
straight
little bit
up.
more? Y'all cool if I add a little bit more sauce?
Man, what?
Let me know.
Listen,
Some people don't like they stuff extra sauce. They
man, I
it,
like my
just,
shit saucy, man.
just a certain kind of way. I don't know if y'all like it extra saucy or not. Okay.
Man, what? Extra
Alright.
sauce, extra
Let's get it.
spice. Throw some tapatio on that
Let's
shit then.
All right. So welcome to the second half of the Multiply Your Money Masterclass.
Okay.
And drop yes if you can see my screen. I just want to make sure. You should be able to, but just I want to make sure. Drop yes in the chat if you
I
see my
can see
screen.
it. I see it.
And what I'm here to do is very, very straightforward, very, very simple. I'm here to give you the blueprint to retiring rich 3 times faster than traditional financial advice. Okay? 3 times. How many of y'all want to achieve your financial goals faster? Is that
Shit.
anybody in this room? I don't know.
Man, what?
Sometimes people like taking a slow boat to China. I'm not sure. But I like to do things faster, right? And so when I started my career, in order to do things faster, I had to do things different because when I started as a financial advisor, they were telling me that everybody, retires at age 65 or 67. I'm like, well, I'm not retiring at age 65 or 67. And for those of us who are a little bit older in the room and didn't necessarily get access to the right information to know that it was possible to retire sooner, right? The good news is, regardless of how old you are right now, you want to get to your destination as fast as possible, especially if you feel like you are behind a little bit, right? So in my process of doing things different, I got a lot of attention from platforms like Forbes, Black Enterprise, Business Insider, Afrotech, regular recurring guests on news segments, USA Today, etc. Now, again, I don't share these things because I care about my accolades. I share these things so that you guys who don't know me, who have never met me, who don't know me from a can of paint, and took a risk to show up for this class, you guys can trust that what you're going to learn is news you can absolutely use. But here's the caveat, right?
Caviar.
The execution is on you. You just learned some really, really great information about taxes and how you can stop overpaying in
Yeah.
taxes. But if you don't do anything with it, that information was useless.
Definitely.
And the information I'm about to share with you is going to be very,
knowledge
beneficial. But if
is
it was
key
just
you
about
apply it.
information, we'd all be
Not
billionaires with
just
six
having
figures.
it.
Right? How many of us have got a workout program 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago? And if we just would have stuck to that one, not the new one we got, not the ones that we saved on IG with the crazy workout, not the one that we screenshotted, not the other 3 that we purchased after that. But if we just would have
Just that
stuck
one.
to that one and executed, even if it wasn't the best workout program on the market,
You'll
if
see
we would have
results.
did that, how many of us know we would have been farther along than where we are right now?
Facts.
And it's the
But I
same
stay
thing
on
with this
mine.
information, right?
You
Like,
feel me? I stay on my
it doesn't
shit.
matter
I'm good.
if you do every single thing that I recommend today. What matters is that when you leave this class, you make a decision that for the last 104 days of this year, the last fourth quarter, you still have 25% of the year left.
Yeah.
Every game I've ever watched has been won in the fourth quarter.
Facts.
You might have not started out how you wanted to start, but you can finish how you want to finish if
Facts.
you execute.
Green Bay Packers was known for that.
Now, Carter was transparent. He showed y'all how much money he made a few years
Patriots.
ago. I'm gonna go the other way with transparency. I'm gonna say, you know what? Before I became a financial advisor, right? This was a screenshot of one of my bank accounts. Two of them, excuse me, two of my bank accounts. A checking and a savings. I remember the Kevin Hart
I
stand
can't
up
see it.
when he was like, I got a checking and a savings. He had to move some stuff around. Like between my checkings and savings, it was less than $200, right? This is before I'm a financial advisor, right? But I took a screenshot of this because I said to myself, this might be my current reality, but this will not be my future. And I'm pretty sure most of you guys in this room have a lot more than what I had in my bank account all those years ago. But regardless of what you have in your bank account, maybe you feel like you're not as far along as you should be in your journey. Maybe not because you don't have financial resources there, but because you don't know what to do with it. It's like, man, I got money in a 401k, I got money in a savings account, but I feel like my money should be doing more for me than it is right now.
Yep.
Right?
Facts.
So for me, my aha moment was I will never find myself in this position again. And by you guys showing up to this class, you have the opportunity to never be in the position again to not know what to do with your financial resources. Because here's what happened for me, right? I went from having a bank account like this to having just one. This is one of a few, okay? Investment accounts
This ain't even
like
part of
this,
my
where in
Hope
a
for
single
Prisoners
day,
program.
look
It's
at the
just me
slide, it
taking
says time frames
seminars
one day.
on the
In a
side, you
single
know what I'm
day,
saying? I
my
ain't got nothing
money
else to do, so
made
you know,
me
I joined a seminar
$12,000.
on learn how to
Right? What?
do
What?
taxes,
You
you
mean
know
to
what
tell
I'm
me,
saying? The good,
like,
the good and
my
bad
money,
and ugly
like,
about taxes, you know
just
what I'm saying? So
by,
when I do
if
my
I didn't even
business,
log into the account, the money was gonna make me
you know what I mean?
$12,000. That's crazy. The same guy who had less than
This is the type of shit I
$200
do
in both his checking and savings account. Why? What
on the
happened?
side,
What
you know what I'm
changed?
saying?
I
In my
learned
free time.
how to invest. Right? The first thing I learned how to invest in was myself and became a personal value.
Personal
But
value,
I
know
learned
your
how to
worth.
invest and I started having my money work for me. Now, here's the thing. You're gonna say, George, you've been a financial advisor for 12 years. Of course, this works for you. Maybe you're a money guy, maybe you're a numbers guy. I don't know about investing. I'm new to investing. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense.
That-
So I'm really big on shattering limiting beliefs. I don't want any. The only thing that I care more about you leaving here with than tactical and practical resources to learn how to invest is to know that this is for you, that you
Most
are
definitely.
worthy of wealth.
Most
Because if
definitely.
you don't believe that, it
I
doesn't
know
matter
that.
what I teach you, you're not going to
I know
execute.
that.
So these are a few screenshots from friends, family members, and clients,
I can't see
right,
it.
who remind me how this is working for them. Just checked my investment account, gained $4,800 without doing a thing, right? One of my other clients was so happy. She was like, I think I'm going to buy an island. The way my money's working for me.
Ooh,
I
that's
had
what I'm
another
talking
client
about.
remind me that she's retiring 25 years faster than traditional retirement advice. She retired at age 40, right? And the world will tell you that you can't retire until age 65 or beyond, if you even get a chance to retire. And another client that was blown away that their investment account had almost nearly doubled, and they weren't even at $500 million just a few short years prior. All because
If y'all want to know what
how
I'm
to
doing,
make your money work.
I'm
Now here's the good news.
taking
Good
notes,
news is
you know what I'm saying, and stuff
you
like that.
are going to learn how to do the exact same thing. Now, something I want to share with you. This is what I like to call a mind shift. Somebody dropped shift in the chat. This is what I call a mind shift.
Okay.
And the reason why I want to start here is, again, if
Why can't I
Right? Car ain't
motherfucking?
the only one with the technology. Okay.
Oh,
I'm gonna share my iPad. Now I'm talking junk. Now watch it don't work. All right, iPad. Not airplanes. What's this? There we go. Cables. All right. So there we go. All right. Drop yes in the chat. You
you
can see
see
my
that
screen.
Terry Luna, Mike?
Drop yes.
Yup.
Okay. Very
Okay.
good. All right.
Yes.
So before I started sharing this, there was a slide up there that said the value of anything is the amount of life you're willing to trade for. And I want to break down what I mean by that, right? The
Terry
value
Luna.
of anything is the amount of life you're willing to trade for. And in order for us to figure out that value, we got to figure out what we're trading our life for. So you can do some research, right? I already did the heavy lifting, but I saw that give or take a few $1,000s, the average income in the United States is about $50,000 a year. Okay.
Okay.
So in other words, in order to get that 50,000, we have to do what? We have to
Work.
trade some time.
Yeah.
And so what I then saw is that the average American works about 2,000 hours a year. Now, how do we
2,000?
back into that number? 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
On average, people get about 2 weeks vacation, give or take.
Okay.
So if you multiply 40 hours a week times 50 weeks in the year, right, minus the 2 weeks that you take off for vacation,
Yeah.
you get 2,000
Okay.
hours work. So in order for you to get that 50,000, you got to trade 2,000 hours of your life, right? So regardless if you're a salaried employee, a business owner, or whatever, if you know how much money you can make divided by how much you work, we can figure out what your time is worth. At least an hour of your time. So somebody help me out. What is 50,000 divided by 2,000? This is gonna be interactive. Pull out them calculators. Pull out them calculators. What's 50,000 divided by 2,000? 25. Okay.
25.
25, right? So that means that if you make 50 grand a year, you work 2,000 hours a year, your time is worth $25 an hour. And I know some of y'all be finessing the system, y'all work from home, and
At least
y'all be
25.
working the full 40 hours. I get
Okay.
it, right? But the more the story, your paycheck say you work 40. So this is what your time is worth. $25 an hour. Now, if you want to
That's at
figure out
50,000.
what your number is, you can just swap this out for your salary and how much you work, right? But I just wanted to go with the average American.
Okay.
So now we know our time is worth $25 an hour. But we don't go to work just to get the money. We go to work to get the money because there's stuff that we need to buy and things we need to do.
Damn.
So I said, what are the big top expenses? The top three are
Mortgage.
where you live, what you
Bills.
drive, and what you eat.
Yeah.
Right? That's where a lot of people's money goes. So I said, let's pick the middle one. Right? Since we talk about investment vehicles, let's talk about actual vehicles.
Yeah.
Okay? So I did some research and I saw that the average car payment was just around $500 per month.
Okay.
And then you got gas. I'm gonna be generous here and say that's about $200 a month. Probably more than that.
More than that.
I'm gonna be real generous. I know some of y'all can't drive. I know y'all car insurance is more expensive than this. I'm gonna just say it's $100 a month. Okay. So that means the cost of ownership of the car is $800 a month. Well, at least that's what you would say before you came into this class. But we now know that the value of anything
Could
is
be
the amount
zero.
of life I'm willing to trade for. And if we know that our life is worth $25 an hour in this example, right? Then what we got to do is we got to see, okay, well, how much of our time, i.e., our life, are we trading to drive that car? Can somebody let me know in the comments how much of our life we are trading to drive that car? What's 800 divided by 25? 32. That's a very important 32. That's 32 hours of your life, right? 32 hours of life for a car that's probably sitting in your driveway more than you drive it, right? 32 hours of life for something that you're not even getting the useful benefit out of. Now, that's crazy to think about. I'm trading 32 hours of my life for a car that I don't even drive 32 hours a month. How many of y'all drive your car 32 hours a
They
when
do.
you look at the money you spend on online shopping for the outfit that you only wore for that one trip and you can't wear it again because it's kind of flashy, so it's just sitting in the closet collecting dust.
I would
Right?
still
Am I
wear
stepping
it.
on some toes? Right? For the car we just talked about, right? For the meal when we went out and we got one too many drinks and we looked at the bill and it was a little crazy. Hmm. You're not just spending a few $100. You're trading hours of your life. Now, why is this important? Okay? I want us to remember what our time is worth in this example. That's $25 an hour. But that is the liability side of the equation. Okay? Now, one thing I learned in life is that we just have to get on the right side of the equation. Did you know that every bill to you is either passive or active income to somebody else? You just on the wrong side of the equation. When you buy clothes and you shop, that's going to somebody. That's income for somebody else. That's an expense to you. When you spend the money on the car payment, that's income for somebody else, and it's expense to you, right? So we just got to figure out how to get on the right side of the equation. Okay. So let's look at the asset side of the equation. Now, right now, I am using an Apple Pencil, writing on an iPad,
Okay.
sharing this on an not iMac. What is this? A MacBook, right? And many of y'all are calculating this math on your iPhones. If you got Androids, mind your business. No, I'm just kidding. All right, so it's safe to say that Apple is a company that might be around for a while, might be a company worthwhile investing in, right? So, for argument's sake, let's just say, to keep things simple, that you could buy one share of Apple for $100, right? Meaning that you can own a piece of Apple for $100. Like, that's an asset, right?
Yep.
Now, here's what I want you to really stay with me. If every time we spent $25, we were trading an hour of our life, what happens every time we invest $25, right? So in this example, if my time is worth $25 an hour and Apple costs $100 a share, what happens every time I buy a share of Apple?
You
What
add more
happens?
to
Gain
your.
back time. How much time? Shania, how much time? 4 hours,
Yeah.
right? I gain back 4 hours of my
I see
life.
what you mean.
Now,
I see
some of
what
y'all
you
might say, okay, that makes sense conceptually, but
Yeah.
George, break that down for me. Break that down for me. Okay, cool. When you buy a car, right? Matter of fact, I'm going to illustrate it for you. Now, I get
I can't
paid
see the
math.
screen.
I don't get paid to draw. So I'm
But
going
it's
to need y'all to
alright,
be this to be a judgment-free
Because I
zone
can mentally
when it comes
visualize
to
it.
this car. I know this looks like a 1970 something that you probably wouldn't want to buy. Now, 5 years from now, do y'all think this car is going to go up in value, or is it going to go down in value?
It's
in
gonna
5
go
years?
up because it's a classic,
Statistically speaking,
especially if it's a Chevy.
okay, down, right?
What?
Now that share of Apple, and yes, again, it's the Apple.
Yeah,
Do not
right.
judge me. I'm telling y'all, I will kick y'all out this Zoom room. Now, when I buy a share of Apple, right, i.e., an investment, in 5 years, do I think my share of Apple is going to be worth more or less in 5 years? What do I think? What do we
It's
think?
gonna go up because Apple's
So we
only.
said this is going to be worth
it's only
less
increasing.
in 5 years, but the share of Apple is going to be worth more in 5 years, right? So what's the idea here? When I spend money on liabilities, in the future,
You
my
decrease
money
in
or
value.
my investment is going to be worth less.
Definitely.
When I spend money on assets,
That's why you
I
gotta
can spend
invest
the
in
money
yourself.
one time, but in the future, that same dollar, that same 4 hours that I bought back in my life will be worth more in the future. Because guess what? Apple, in that 5-year period, might go from 100 to 200 or more. So even if I didn't invest another dollar in Apple, my 4 hours that I bought back turns into 8, and now I just bought back a whole day
Yeah.
off of a seed that I planted 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And that is the whole concept of investing. Forget Nvidia, Tesla, Amazon, Google, Meta, whatever hot stock. What you need to remember more importantly than that is that the whole purpose of investing is that I'm always going to have to pay for something in life,
I'll be
right?
back. Go
Nothing
wash my
is never going to be free. And I got two choices. Either I can continue to work to produce the money required to pay for the things, or I can plant a seed that can grow an apple tree, pun intended, and I can pick from that tree every single year for a seed that I planted years ago, Somebody
dropping
drop
the
work in
medicine?
the chat. You want your money to start working for you,
Right here.
right?
Came back.
Y'all work too hard, man. Every asset you own is a second, minute, hour, or year towards
Enhanced
buying
steel
back your
beverage.
time, and that is the whole game. We use
Water.
money to buy back our time, so we can do what we want for however long we want,
Gotta
with
get some
who
ice.
we want, right? That's the name of the game. We were just tricked out of our spot, thinking that the only way to get there is to wait for. And the reason why we thought that, the reason why we had that belief, is because we were subconsciously conditioned to think that retirement was about age, right? You work for 40 years, or however long you work, and at some point in the future, after giving the best years of your life away, you can eventually retire,
Get
right?
that.
That's what we were told. But it's not about when you retire or how long it takes you. It's just a number, right? Retirement has nothing to do with age. It has everything to do with assets. And I'm gonna help y'all unlearn some
Boost your
stuff
immune
so
system.
that y'all can get to where y'all need to get. Okay?
Drop one of
So
them
the
in there.
traditional path that most people learn about is what we
You feel
call
me?
the 40-40-40 plan. And that's where you work 40 hours a week
Get that water.
for 40 years of your life
This is kiwi
so that you
strawberry.
can
By the
live
way.
off $40,000 a year in income if you do everything right. Now, we already know that 40 hours a week work week is true. That's already the standard, right? Nobody questions it, they just do it, right? Now, where did I arrive at working for 40 years? Well, the average person, right, they have some form of consistent income around 25, right? Give or take. Some people, get higher education and they start working a little bit later, but by and large, people have some form of employment by 25, and they don't stop working until they retire. So, if you start working around 25 on average, right? What's 25 plus 40?
33.
65. What is the magical retirement age they tell everybody is supposed to retire at? 65. So that's the second 40 in the 40-40-40 plan. Now the third 40 I'm about to explain to you right now. How many of y'all drop me in the chat if you ever heard anybody online, any financial influencer say, invest $400 a month into the stock market, right? Earning 7% a year, and for about 40 years, you have $1 million at retirement. Something like, give or take. Y'all heard something similar to that before?
No.
Give or take? Okay.
Give or take.
Now, the truth is, they're not wrong. That is a mathematically statistical correct answer. The problem is that it's too long, right? Some of y'all don't want to work for 4 more years, much less 40, right? Now,
Facts.
how much resource you have and how hard you're willing to work to get to your target will determine how fast you can speed up this timeline. But I know none of y'all want to work for 40 more years,
No.
or 20 more years, or 25 more years if you don't have
I can't
to,
see it.
right? But that's the system. That's
Yeah.
the whole game.
The
That's
rat
the whole
race. Trying to
thing that
catch
they're
up
telling
and shit,
everybody,
but you
right?
can't because you
Because in
constantly
the
gotta work and
retirement
pay
world,
taxes and
there's a rule
the
called the
liabilities.
4% rule that
I get
says,
it.
well, retire means you don't work, which means you're on a fixed income. And if you don't want to run out of that money, you can't withdraw more than 4% of your account value,
Ain't that about a bitch?
right? So somebody help me out. You worked the 40 years and you invested the $400 a month, cool, and you got the $1 million in this example, but how much money are you going to be able to withdraw every year following this 4% rule?
4%? God damn, what?
$40,000 a year. Now, let me get this straight. Most of y'all in this room couldn't probably make $40,000 a year work in today's
That's
dollars. You mean to tell me 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years down the road, I did everything right. I had $1 million invested, which most people don't. The median retirement account balance is $134,000. So you mean to tell me I follow all the rules and I can still only withdraw $40,000 a year and
That's
not run out of
crazy.
money? Oh, something ain't right. As the young kids say, the math ain't math.
Adding up.
But
Straight
you know
up.
what? My job is to help you learn and unlearn. So let me help you understand how you can find your freedom. Because again,
Please do.
that has nothing to do with age, it has everything to do with assets. So what you want to do is you got to figure out how much money you need per month to live your ideal lifestyle. You got to multiply that by the months in the year. And then once you multiply that annual number by 25, when you have 25 times your annual living expenses, right?
Oh, they talking about calling
hit
me, so
your
what?
financial freedom
We finna,
target based upon those rules, right? So if you need more than 40,000,
what we finna do
let's
is
just say you need 80,000, right? That means you can't have $1 million invested.
silence the
You
phone.
gotta have $3 million invested. Now, whether you think So I know people are gonna be like, George, that sounds good, but that's a very that sounds like a very big number. Even the
No,
million
not
sounds like
at
a
all.
big number. So what am I supposed to do, right? Now this isn't a core part of my investment strategy, but this is again, I like to shift paradigms so we can make better decisions. Now I'm a big advocate of investing in all things, especially the stock market.
Okay.
But you know what? The biggest advocate of investing in
What is that? Self.
yourself, right?
Facts.
Because if you can only afford to invest $400 a month over 40 years, the next best thing you can do is figure out how can I become more valuable to the marketplace so that I can invest more than $400
And
a
that's
month.
understanding it
Because
and
if I can
knowing it.
invest more than $400 a month, since I know that retirement is just a number, right? It has nothing to do with age. It means I can get to my target faster. The only reason why they're telling you, but not the only reason, and I don't have time to get into other reasons today. I'll do it maybe on another day. But
I'll meet
the
you there.
reason
I'll be
why
there.
it's taking you to 65 to retire is because if you're making $50,000 a year, if you do everything right, especially in this inflationary economy, maybe you can save and invest 10% of your income, which is $5,000, right? And that's just going to take that 30, 35, 40 year time horizon to be able to get to that $1 million number. But hold on, if I make $100,000, I say, you know what? Instead of me going to ball out of control and spending unnecessary money, I double my income. I'm also gonna double my savings and investing rate. So now, because I double my income and I double my savings and investing
No, she
rate,
just telling
I
you
can
that.
invest 4 times more than I could when I made $50,000. So on and so forth, right? It's just a number. And the question is, are we gonna be good stewards over the resources? Are we gonna work towards becoming people of value so that we can get closer to our target based upon the amount of money that we can contribute? Okay? All right,
That
now
first
that we
nigga had
shifted our
game though, didn't
paradigm,
he?
now
He
that we
broke that
understand
shit
why we
down.
got to play this game,
That nigga.
and now that we understand that retirement is nothing but a number, right? She was Aaliyah. Now can I teach y'all how to build a portfolio in just 5 minutes, leveraging something I call the Burger King investment strategy? Would that be okay?
Definitely, man. What?
Okay. All right. So what is the Burger King investment strategy?
I don't know.
The Burger King investment strategy is very simple. McDonald's spends millions of dollars a year figuring out where they're going to put their next locations. Does anybody have any idea what Burger King does to figure out where they're going to put the next Burger King? Anybody? Any clue? They
Oh.
put it in proximity or across the street from McDonald's.
Which is
Why? Because McDonald's has already done the heavy lifting. Somebody write this down. It's okay to be a copycat if you copy the right cat. Right? Burger King says, you know what? McDonald's has spent all this money and all this time and all this research to say that people are going to appreciate fast food and this area is going to be high traffic. Burger King said, well, shoot. They gonna love me too. Somebody gonna be in that drive-through line at breakfast, running late for work, trying to get one of those big griddles. What are the things called? That's what we call little sandwiches, the big griddles. They gonna be running late for work. The drive-through gonna be around the corner. They say, you know what? Not today. I'm gonna go across the street and give me some of them French toast sticks from Burger King.
Okay, yeah.
Now Burger King is getting some supplemental traffic just because they were in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
Copied the right cat.
Facts.
Lunch break rolls around. Somebody just know they're about to get a Whopper. Not a Whopper, but a Big Mac, right? With the Big Mac sauce and the Biggie fried. Now, mind you, I haven't eaten McDonald's in a very long time, so I don't even know if this is still what they sell. I'm pretty sure it is. But they got to get back to work. They're running behind. So you know what? They say, you know what? I'm not gonna get the Big Mac today. I'm gonna go get the Whopper Junior, right? And I'm gonna go over to Burger King. So simply by Burger King copying the right cat, Burger King is still able to win. Now, how does that apply to your investing strategy? Okay? How does that apply to your investing strategy? Okay? So, in the investing world, there are these investment vehicles called exchange traded funds, ETFs for short, and index funds. And the way to think about these investment vehicles is kind of like the mall in your favorite city. The mall in your favorite city probably has hundreds of stores in that mall, right? And at any given time, there's some stores that are really, really popular and some stores that are not so popular, right? But if you own the entire mall, it doesn't really matter if one of those individual stores or 2 or 10 of those individual stores aren't performing that well because there's still hundreds of other stores in the mall that are doing well and paying you rent, right? That's how a mall works.
Yeah.
An ETF and an index fund works the same way. So this is a popular index ETF called VOO, right? And Vanguard is an investment institution that creates these ETFs. Vanguard has spent tens of millions, if not in the billions, in research, figuring out what should we put inside our mall? What should we put inside of our fund? And guess what? All you got to do is hit the buy button. And now you get to own the whole mall by copying the right cat because they did all the research, right? They did all the research. Let me show you this real quick. I think it's right here at the top. And if you would have did that, right? If you would have just said, you know what, this year, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy the right cat, and I'm gonna hit the buy button. So far, if you would have did that, you would have been up 18.88% year to date, right? 18, almost 19% year to date. And on average, what did that slide say? Invest in the stock market, get 7% a year. Well, this year alone, this one ETF is up 18%. Now, I'm not saying that over a period of time that every year is going to do exactly this. Some years might be less, some years might be substantially more. But the moral of the story is we can't say that we don't know how to invest and potentially get pretty solid returns because all I had to do was click the buy button on this ETF and I could have got 18.8%, right? And if you just stopped there following that, you would be good. That's what a lot of people do. But I like to be a little bit extra. Somebody drop extra.
I like
Chat. You mind if I
extra.
give y'all some extra sauce?
I like to be extra
Is that cool
strong.
with y'all?
Yeah.
Y'all mind if I give y'all some extra sauce? I like to be a little bit extra. Okay? So I said, okay. Just like if I go to a mall, if Apple's in the same store as a Journeys or a Dillard's or a Macy's, Apple is probably outperforming some of those other stores in the mall, right? And we also know that even though
I
Apple
see the
might
comment.
be in a mall, Apple also has standalone stores
There
in
we
other
go.
locations, right? So I said, if Apple's a top performer, I'm glad that I own the mall that has Apple inside of it, but wouldn't it make sense maybe if I own Apple as a standalone store too?
Yeah.
So I was
what?
like, let me look at some of the research, right? Some of the investments that are inside of this fund. And would you know, for free.com, I can come and do the research and see, okay, some of the top performing investments are Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, Amazon, Meta, Google, Berkshire Hathaway, Eli Lilly. Huh, interesting. Right, you know how when you're on Google and you're searching for something and the first page is usually where the best results are? Well, in this index fund, as you can see, we're on page 1 of 10 of 502. This is 1 through 10 of 502, right? 502 different investments. But we can probably make an educated guess that these ones are the ones that are carrying a lot of the weight. So I say, okay, cool. So what happens if I own the mall, but then I say maybe I use 70% of my money that I have that I can afford to invest,
Wait
I
till I'm
own
doing
this
something.
ETF, but maybe 30%, I say I want to own some of these individually,
I'll call you back.
right? I want to own them outside the mall. I want to double down. I want to double down a little bit, right? What would that mean, or what could that mean for your investment portfolio? Let's take a look. Let's take a look, right? So what you're looking at here is a screen capture of my portfolio following the strategy that I just showed you in comparison to the index fund that we just looked at, the ETF that we just looked at, VOO, in comparison to Berkshire Hathaway, which is Uncle Warren Buffett's
It should be
fund,
done pretty soon.
and a couple of other popular